With the release of Creature Commandos, the new James Gunn DC universe has officially kickstarted. The biggest question that is worrying fans is how to determine what's canon and what's not canon from the past DCEU and James Gunn's new DC universe. But this new information seems like it makes it more clear on how to process what's canon and what's not canon. The part that makes this confusing a little bit is for the fact that the entire DCEU isn't completely wiped away, and James Gunn is just starting fresh with a completely brand new reboot. It's more of a soft reboot in how he's starting the story over again with recasting characters, and for the most part, wiping away all the stories from the DCEU. But there's some moments from that universe that he's bringing into his new DC universe. So it's all about trying to figure out what's canon and what's not canon. In the simplest terms, to determine what's canon, it's broken down saying whatever is mentioned about the DCEU from Creature Commandos on to future projects is officially 100% canon. If an event from the DCEU is not mentioned in any of the new shows or movie that James Gunn makes, then it's officially not canon to his new universe. For example, James Gunn created the second Suicide Squad movie and Peacemaker. So people are saying those are the only two projects that are still canon to his new universe. Well, not exactly the case. It's still not safe to assume that the entirety of those two projects are canon unless it's specifically mentioned in future projects. So when Rick Flag Sr. is talking about how his son has died in Creature Commandos, when he's referring to the events that happened in Suicide Squad 2 when Peacemaker killed Rick Flag, that's officially canon. But it's not canon because it happened in Suicide Squad, it's only canon because it was mentioned in Creature Commandos. And what James Gunn specifically said is that Suicide Squad isn't entirely consistent with the canon, but it has a lot of consistencies, and the best way to think of it is as an imperfect memory. So he will definitely be taking from those past projects or developing some sort of connections or storylines from it, but the only way to know it's canon is if it's mentioned within future movies. So don't completely throw away the DCEU, but also don't think of it as a continuation. So if you ever hear a reference, something within the new projects that mentions back to the old movies, then that's when you could look back to those movies and draw those connections, as you will then know it's 100% canon. And a big part with this new information on what's canon and what's not canon, there has been a thought that from Suicide Squad, how Bloodsport was put in prison was because he shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, but it was never shown on screen. There was talks on how that could transition to James Gunn's new DC universe, because they could just be saying that Bloodsport's reference to shooting Superman wasn't Henry Cavill's Superman. It could be referring to the new Superman played by Cornswet. Just for the fact that you never see it on screen, it's an easy transition to make that fact canon to the new DCU without making any confusions on the crossover from Henry Cavill's Superman and the new Superman. But we're still unsure if that will even be canon, as there are no upcoming news from Bloodsport's character, as at the end of Creature Commandos, we saw like King Shark was introduced to the new team, and you didn't see any other characters from the Suicide Squad team introduced. So we have no idea what is in stake for that future character. All we know is that we have Peacemaker coming back in Peacemaker Season 2, with Rick Flag Sr. being involved in that and the new Superman movie. So it seems like the only crossover that will be taking place as of now between the Suicide Squad movie and the upcoming DC universe is the storyline of Peacemaker killing Rick Flag Jr. and Rick Flag Sr. kind of going after Peacemaker as revenge for his son. And the only reason that's canon is because it was mentioned within Creature Commandos. And another small thing that was mentioned in Creature Commandos is kind of more as a joke too, but it also confirmed more things that are canon, is when Weasel was flying on the plane again and he was freaking out, they kind of threw a jab at him, saying how his last mission, he did not have a good experience, and basically how he jumped out of the plane. and he didn't know how to swim and he was basically drowning. So that was another kind of joke and a dig at that event. It's something that was funny in the Suicide Squad movie, within also explaining another thing that is canon. So to sum up everything, basically just pay close attention to things that are mentioned and referenced within the new TV shows and movies, because those will be the only thing that are canon, and everything else from the DCEU is a complete reset. But yeah, thanks for listening. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on the new DC universe, and like what are your thoughts about the Creature Commando show. I personally liked it, and what you're hoping to see in the new Superman movie.